Is there anything you recall from your time in Ethiopia that you find interesting or that you would like to share?
I think, well, it's so drastic, like the school system, for sure. So just in the fact that, like, school there is all kids ranging, like a small classroom.
I'm understanding what you're saying.
Okay.
Like there's only like 10 or so kids in a classroom?
Yeah, and so it's just like because it's a small village, so all of them are at one. There's one teacher for everyone, and it's very different.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so how old were you when you went into an orphanage?
I was about 9. I was 9 years old when I was sent to an orphanage.
And then were you also 9 when you got adopted?
Yeah, it was a really fast process. It was a 2-step orphanage, so I was in one orphanage. They processed the stuff because it's almost like a holding spot where kids don't get adopted, and so it's that orphanage. You were judged whether like you were too old, and then they would like send you off and teach you life skills. By the time like if you're 13, you're kind of kicked out of the orphanage because that's considered too old. Or they would give you a test to see if you were eligible to go to school outside of the orphanage, and then if either of those things, like you don't qualify, then they send you to a second part of the orphanage to get adopted. And so for my process, I was supposed to go to the school actually, and I messed up. Or they messed up the paperwork for me to get sent to school, and then I got adopted instead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang, that's so cool. Okay, so did that whole process go well, like with your parents like coming to get you and everything?
So the way I got sent into it, I didn't know what was happening the whole time, because I still thought that like my family in Ethiopia was still coming to get me. I didn't understand I was being adopted. That was never really explained to me.
Oh.
And so, I mean, other than that, yeah, it went pretty well.
Yeah? So would you say coming to America was like a good thing, or like was there a culture shock or anything?
Both. Definitely one of the biggest blessings in my life. But yeah, a huge culture shock because one major thing was I didn't speak English at all. My parents didn't speak Amharic at all. And so I didn't even have my parents to communicate with. And so coming into like a completely different world and not being able to communicate was slightly difficult.
Yeah, goodness. Was it like crazy at all, like seeing different races when you first came here?
Yeah, I'd never seen white people before. Per se, because I did come from a small village. You know, it was just like the majority of the people there were my family.
Yeah.
And so yeah, to see a completely different race and completely different culture and language was like, what is this world? So yeah,
Gosh.
it was insane.
That is crazy. So how was it like for your first, because I know you didn't know English for like your first few years here. So how was that, like trying to communicate with people and your parents, especially trying to communicate with you, or like trying to communicate with your teachers or friends?
It was, I think, because of the culture shock that our mind, because I also have a little sister that came, our mind went on survival mode, and so we actually learned it within a few months. We were pretty fluent, yeah, and so the first year is kind of a blur. My mom said that they did a lot of like sign language, a lot of pointing, a lot of correction to be able to communicate, and then it did help that so I got adopted in December, and in January, the second semester, she put me in school already.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, and so that made it a lot easier to learn the language, just to be completely immersed. It's almost like, think of like, sign language classes, where you're completely immersed in it and you learn it so much faster. And so, yeah, I think.
Dang, that's so cool. So would you say that was the most difficult thing for you when you moved to the United States?
The language? Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you don't really have a guide or a translator. Like, you don't, because the thing is, like, when you are learning a different language in class, you can ask someone in your own language or ask the teacher, but you don't have that. Like, if you don't understand a word, you don't understand a word. There's not, like, because we didn't even have, like, Amharic dictionaries to, like, translate.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that part I don't know how he did it. I think it's a definite God thing, because I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, and did you specifically learn English in school, or did you just learn by going to classes?
By going to classes and also having, like, English in as one of the classes.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I did a lot of reading. Like, the school that I went to, it was in Montana. It's a super small school.
Oh, before
And
you
so-
went to Gillette?
And
Oh,
so
okay.
they had a lot of competitions with reading and stuff. So I read all the time, like constantly. And it's just like that's what I did.
Yeah. Okay, so how was the first day of school here? Like, was there anything that, like, happened that you didn't think would happen, or anything that didn't happen that you would think would happen, or anything like that?
I think, going into schools, I mean, I was excited. I loved to learn. I used to cry whenever summer came around. But at the same time, I was not used to not having punishments, because the school in Ethiopia, like, teachers could punish. And so it was, like, built on that fear of, like, if I messed up at all, I was going to get punished. So that was a huge change, because, I mean, the teachers were really sweet and really understanding, and you weren't going to get smacked in the head with a stick if you talked. So,
And did they encourage you to learn?
yeah.
Or, like, encourage you and, like, work well with you to, like, learn English and everything?
Yeah, they were amazing with it. They went slowly. They lowered my reading, or, like, English grade level was different. They tried to catch me up on it, but at the same time, yeah, it was way lower and slow paced than everyone else's, and they were a lot more gentle, or, like, I don't know, encouraged me a lot more, which, like, helped motivate me, because seeing that, like, kids of my age being able to do a lot more was hard. So them encouraging me really helped.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really good. And how was your education? I know you moved to Gillette, so how was your education there?
It
Also
was it was really good. I went to elementary school, went to a private Christian school, which made it the smaller classes, and also, again, like, having the teachers be able to, like, work with me. So yeah, it was really good. I was able to, as a result of them working really hard with me, I was able to skip a couple classes and actually catch up with my grade. And so yeah, that was really
Oh,
good.
dang, that's awesome. You're a genius. Has there ever been a time that you have felt singled out because of your culture or because of your ethnicity, or misunderstood in any way?
Not from teachers. They've been, I think I've had either just been really blessed and lucky in the ones that I've had, because I never felt that way with teachers.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, yeah, almost like they saw me, or, like, more of it. I don't know if it's because of culture, ethnicity, but, like, they saw more of a potential in me. In some cases, I felt like they worked harder or pushed me a little more, which helped. But with kids, definitely, because it's, especially being from Gillette or Wyoming, they don't really have diversity. They don't really have different people. And so a lot of times it's just, like, them not knowing how to handle me. Like, they were never really mean. They just, like, don't know how to, like, interact or, like, act around me. And so you can definitely see that. Like, they try, but you can definitely see them being like, what can I say? What can I not say? So.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, yeah. And then, I think lastly, what advice would you give to soon-to-be teachers about culture and ethnicity, and in the classroom, like, how to work with it?
I think, like, for me, the biggest thing was just having them push me. And I don't know if, like, that affected culture, ethnicity, but maybe even a little more extra, just, like, being a teacher that sees more of the potential of the kid than even the kid sees in themselves. Because that was, like, the biggest thing for me, is, like, to have a teacher, like, that thought I was so much smarter than I really was, or, like, pushed me and saw so much that I could do, made me do a lot more. To have some, like, just having that faith in a kid, even if they're not necessarily showing it. And so definitely more so with kids of other ethnicities.
Perfect. Thank you.